It's time to make some fast money. And now, here is your host, Rod Villagomez, with all of this weekend's best motorsports bets. Welcome in, everyone, to Fast Money. I am your host, Rod Villagomez. For frequency's sake, we are here, of course, to give you our favorite fun little parlays to go on with some motorsports betting this weekend. We'll tell you right now, we're kind of light on the motorsports. In fact, it's 3 series in effect right now. F1 is off, and IndyCar, for whatever reason, books. Let's get with it, shall we? We aren't getting IndyCar odds, and when we are, they're locked. IndyCar, of course, taking on their final race of the season tomorrow. Well, tomorrow, if you watch this on Saturday, it's on Sunday, and we still have odds that are locked. So I don't know what you're doing, books, but you need to get with it. Of course, it doesn't matter at this point. Maybe we'll give you, just follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. I'll give you some IndyCar picks that I like. Would have loved to have been able to give them to you here, but unfortunately can't do that. Truck series going on tonight for NASCAR, Xfinity going off on Saturday, and then of course the Cup guys going off on Sunday. So we will turn our attention to the Xfinity and the Cup guys, since it may not give you a whole lot of time to get some truck bets in. So we'll focus more on Xfinity and for Cup. Xfinity, the Kansas Lottery 300 going on from the Kansas Speedway playoffs, baby. These guys are in the postseason now. It's time to step things up. And then, of course, the Cup Series drivers as well. It is the Hollywood Casino 400. They'll be taking on 400 miles on that Kansas Speedway. So we're going to take a couple of parlays and have a little fun with them for each of these. Let's start on Saturday, right, with the Kansas Lottery 300 for the Xfinity Series. We are going to take Cole Custer as a top 3 finisher in this race. Top 5 would have been a little more comfortable for us, but top 3 gives us better odds. Cole Custer on this track, you look at it and you think to yourself, probably not really, right? An 11th place finish, but he hasn't been on this track since 2019, which is when he had that 11th place finish. Of course, a 26th place finish in 2018. Cole Custer hasn't been on this track a while. We'll give him a pardon on that one, but he is riding the strength of 4 straight top 10 finishes and 2 straight top 5 finishes. But for Cole Custer, he needs to step it up a little bit. I want to bump this up to a top 3 just because I'm feeling froggy. This is plus 210 on its own for Cole Custer to get in the top 3. He's got 10 top 5s total this season, 2 wins. We expected Cole Custer to have a much bigger season than he's had so far, but again, he's kind of easing his way back into the Xfinity Series, so we'll cut him a little slack for that, but he's gaining some momentum. 4th place last week at Darlington. That's 1 spot out of the top 3. He can find his way in there. There's no Cup Series guys in this race whatsoever to steal his thunder, so we will slide Cole Custer into a top 3 finish in this race, the Kansas Lottery 300 at Kansas. Denny Hamlin, the man, the myth, the legend, just tears it up on this track. We are going to give Denny Hamlin a top 3 finish as well. So we'll parlay 2 top 3 finishes in this. Plus 160 for Denny Hamlin to get inside the top 3. Both of these together are going to give you 7-1 plus 706 over on Caesars. As for Denny Hamlin, it's a little bit of an easier case to make for a top 3 than it is for Cole Custer. I'll tell you that right now, because Denny Hamlin won this race in the spring, 2nd place in the fall of last season, 4th place in the spring of 2022, 5th place in the fall of 2021. Denny Hamlin, good on this track. A top 3 finish for him, not out of the realm of possibility. Just looking at what he's done so far this season. It hasn't, of course, been the exact season that Denny Hamlin's been after either. Obviously, he would have wished for a much better, but he is in the playoffs. He is competing for a championship. He's got 2 wins, 9 top 5s, 12 top 10s, a couple of bad finishes for Denny Hamlin, which is why we think he's on the rebound, because he actually had a very fast car last week at Darlington. Unfortunately, strategy took him out. Could not rebound from there. 25th at Darlington. So you look back at that and go, yuck. 26th at the Daytona, but that's Daytona. But he was 2nd at Watkins Glen, 3rd at Michigan, 2nd at Richmond, 1st at Pocono, another 3rd place finish at Nashville. Again, he won this race in the spring. Top 3 finish for the number 11 car. We think Toyota is going to be fast on this track, so we're going to give Denny Hamlin a top 3 finish for this race. Like I said, Denny Hamlin plus 160 on his own for a top 3 finish. Cole Custer plus 210 for his own. Put those together, you get a nice little plus 706 to win this race. or to get top threes in this race. I mean, they could probably win too. Both of them have the ability to win this race, but we're just asking them for top three finishes. Now, there is also a bet that I like that Caesars has already parlayed for us. So thank you very much, Caesars. These are two top 10 finishes and top 10 odds on their own, especially on Caesars lately. It's been kind of rough to bet top 10s on their own. So we're going to pair two together. They paired two together. We're just going to ride their coattails. Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney, each to record a top 10 finish. And look, for Ryan Blaney on this track in particular, it's hit or miss, right? Ryan Blaney has a 16th place finish in the spring of this year, but a 9th place finish in the fall before that, 12th place in the fall before that. All told, he's only got 7 top 10 finishes in 17 starts. So it's a little tough to make a case for Ryan Blaney on this track. But again, Ryan Blaney is one of those drivers that needs to have a good day. That 12 team needs to have a solid day if they want to continue on in this event. You look at the last few races for Ryan Blaney, as hit and miss as it's been on this track, it's been hit or miss for Ryan Blaney too, but he does have a solid 9th place finish riding last week from Darlington. 36th at the Daytona. He crashed out of that one. That's Daytona. It's a super speedway. Can't really count that. 9th at Watkins Glen, 13th at Indy, 9th at Michigan, which many consider Kansas, and we've said this time and time before, as the mini Michigan. So a 9th place finish in Michigan, not bad. He did finish 16th here in the spring, not too far out of the top 10, but I think this 12 car is going to build off of that solid finish from last week. I think they are fast enough to find a top 10 finish. I think they need to get a top 10 finish. I think that is going to go a long way into getting them into a top 10 finish. As for Bubba Wallace, look, the 45 car and 2311, I know Bubba drives the 23, but he did drive the 45 when he won this race just a couple of brief races ago in the fall. He actually won this race, the Hollywood Casino 400 last season. Started 6th, won in the 45 car. He was driving for Kurt Busch, was actually not in the season anymore. He pulled himself out due to a concussion. Bubba Wallace took over the 45 car and drove that for the Drivers' Championship points, and he ended up winning this race. But for the 45 car, after that, ended up winning this race as well. So Tyler Reddick and then Bubba Wallace, look, it's a whole big thing, right? 2311 has been great on this. And then the spring, Bubba Wallace got us a 4th place finish on this track. And in his own car in the 23 in 2022 in the spring, got himself a 10th place finish, 14th in the fall of 2021. Again, Bubba Wallace has been really good on this track over the last few races. So top 10 for him and this surging team, not out of the realm of possibility. His last 3 finishes, he's just been on the cusp. He finally broke through a top 10 last week at Darlington with a 7th place finish, but 12th at Daytona, 12th at Watkins Glen. And like I said, we look back at what he did in the spring. He finished 4th here. Then he finished 5th at Darlington, 4th at Charlotte, 8th at Loudon. Very, very solid season for Bubba Wallace. 7 top 10s, but I don't think that really tells the full story of this 23 team and how focused they are, especially, again, after a nice run last week at Darlington, 7th place. There was a lot of chaos that could have gotten him in that race. He didn't let it happen, and so, you know, he hung tight and managed a 7th place finish. So we're going to take that as well. Put those two together. Like we said, that gives you 3-1. It's plus 300 for Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney to both record top 10 finishes in this race. Just a quick look at what their top 10 odds would have been without. You got to scroll a little bit down. Bubba Wallace minus 150 for a top 10 finish by himself. Ryan Blaney plus 110, a little better on his own. But again, 3-1, much better than minus 150 and plus 110 separately. So both of these drivers fully capable of getting inside the top 10. I think it's going to happen. So let's go over what we have given you to bet on today. First, we gave you a pair of top 3 finishes, one for Cole Custer in the Kansas Lottery 300 on Saturday night, one for Denny Hamlin in the Hollywood Casino 400 on Sunday. And then we turned around and took Caesar's recommendation to put Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney, both top 10 finishers, at 3-1 for this race. That's it for Fast Money, ladies and gentlemen. We have some fun stuff coming ahead. Lots of great races, lots of great mileage. Make sure you watch the truck race tonight if you haven't. If you're watching it on Friday, if you're watching it live, make sure you watch the truck race tonight. And then, of course, catch Xfinity on Saturday and then the Cup on Sunday. We will see you next week with much more to choose from. We'll have F1 back and we'll have all 3 series in action again. So we'll see you then. That's it this week for Fast Money. Have some fun. And what's the frequency?